Hey, what up? So I just saw Aaron Sorkin's new movie, The Trial of the Chicago 7, and it was great. Like, I loved it. It was amazing. So Aaron Sorkin is this famous American screenwriter. So what did he write? He wrote The Social Network, he wrote Moneyball, I can't read for shit. I wrote a script and I can't even read this. Yeah, Moneyball, Steve Jobs, and he wrote and directed Molly's Game. That was his directorial debut. And that was pretty great. Like, I loved it. Like, I probably loved it more than I liked this movie. Like, I'll put that out there. I loved Molly's Game. Molly's Game was great. But this movie was awesome. Like, it was so good. So I saw it in the theater instead of seeing it on Netflix, which you can probably go watch. It's probably on Netflix now, I'm pretty sure. But I saw it in the theater because I'm awesome like that. So, so it's about the protests protests over the Vietnam War and about, the 60s, over, outside the National Democratic Convention when they nominated Hubert Humphrey instead of, did they have like a good left-wing like option at that time? I don't think so, because not Jack Kennedy, the other Kennedy brother, he just got shot recently after JFK got shot as well, and so there wasn't really a good option to pick for like the left wing cause, the anti-Vietnam cause. So they nominated Hubert Humphrey, and like the left wing, the hippie movement, the social democratic movement, was protesting in Chicago outside the convention. This is all about the police brutality that happened during those riots. But like, it was all instigated by the police. And this movie is specifically about the trial of what's known as the, Chicago 7. Seven, people that were the head of these organizations that were arrested and tried together, even though they hadn't met each other or barely talked. And they're all tried together in like a big conspiracy. And it's all about their unfair trial and the unfair treatment. And it's so enjoyable. It's kind of heart-wrenching to see what is going on. Like, it does make you reminisce about it makes you think about the George Floyd protests that have been happening over the last few months, more so a few months ago than now. And like, obviously I'm in New Zealand, I'm not even in America, but it's it's scary, when you see people's rights being not being listened to, and the government being oppressive, it's scary. And this movie shows, just how bad it was back in the day, in the 60s. This is during Vietnam, this is during, the Flower Power era of, the hippie movement, all these things, they're oppressive against the government. And, you saw during that time, like left-wing voices not being able to get out. Like before Bill Clinton got elected, in the 90s, which, I'm not even a big Bill Clinton guy, but there wasn't like a good, left-wing representative, like president since JFK. There was, what's his face, Jimmy Carter, which, it was a big disappointment, for the left. Like, he couldn't really get shit done. And, but you had Nixon, you had Ford, you had, Reagan and Bush, Bush Sr. And, so it's you saw that, like, pushing down of the left-wing voices and ideologies. And also, you saw the fight against communism in the USSR and the Cold War and stuff, and that's what really helped towards it being, oppressing, left-wing voices. I really like movies that cover these types of topics, because I think it's important to get out there. What I'm thinking most is the movie Trumbo by, I forget his name. It's the guy that made Austin Powers, but he's made a lot of, like, good political movies. And the movie, Trumbo, is all about, communists in America being arrested, and the specific screenwriter Trumbo, who wrote that Stanley Kubrick movie Spartacus. And what's that movie he first won the Oscar for? It was like, I don't remember. Put it on the screen. But so I really like movies that talk about this, and it's really interesting. So so specifically about this movie though, like Aaron Sorkin, he's a great screenwriter, right? Like he's really shown his stuff in things like The Social Network and Moneyball and Steve Jobs. But he also wrote A Few Good Men, which I'm planning on watching soon. I have it on Blu-ray, I just haven't got around to watching it. And he's written a few other movies. But this is the second movie he's directed, and he's an alright director. Like, he's competent, but he's not comparable to the directors that he's worked with, like David Fincher. Like, David Fincher directed The Social Network. Like, he's not comparable with David Fincher. Like, The Social Network was directed much better than this movie and Molly's Game, but it's passable. You know, it's not amazing, but it's not like distracting from the movie, because like the main movie is about the story and the characters, and the story is great. So it's framed in this like disconjointed narrative. You know, this structure, which is, so like the main story is following the trial, and then it's cut with like, say, flashbacks of, you know, what was going on. So like they'll ask someone a question on the stand, and then they'll go, well, and they'll show us what happened and things like that. And it's really interesting. It's a similar structure as Molly's Game and The Social Network, both of those being featured in courtrooms. And but I feel like Molly's Game and The Social Network are a lot more similar to each other, as it doesn't cut as frequently, and it's more about the stories of the flashback, if that makes sense. So like the real narrative of the story in Molly's Game and in The Social Network is happening during like the flashback sequences, and we're seeing this story unfold before our eyes in these flashback sequences, and then it cuts back to the courtrooms or and things like that. But in this movie, it's more about the court, and it's more about the you know, the trial and finding evidence and things like that. And it's more focused on that instead of on the past stuff. And the past stuff is more really meant to create, you know, just to create background of what is going on, like what a flashback is meant to do, right? So I thought it was interesting, but it is similar to his other stuff, which, you know, it shows his style. And like, I noticed it in this movie again. Like, he loves courtrooms, you know, like, and I was like, shit, did like Aaron Sorkin, you know, have a legal background? And I looked up, his dad was a lawyer, and so was his two older sisters. It's crazy. Like, I was just like, I was just wondering. I was like, wow, like, I wonder if he was a lawyer, but he doesn't have a law degree, but you know, he's around that background, and it seems that's what interests him. So all the actors were amazing, so spectacular. Let me read through some of the ones. Oh, sorry, I've got the camera here, but the computer over here. I'll set this up better another time. So Eddie Redmayne, amazing. He's normally pretty great, other than like in Jupiter Ascending, I think. Like, I quite like Eddie Redmayne. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was awesome as well. He played like the villain type character. He wasn't like the true villain, but he was like, you know, he was a lawyer on the opposite side of our protagonist of the Chicago 7. And I enjoyed him too. Another actor I love. Like, I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think he doesn't really do any outstanding roles. Like, he doesn't do any roles that you go, wow, give that dude an Oscar. But he does roles that are just consistently good, consistently enjoyable. Like, I'm trying to think of movies he's in. Like, he was great in The Dark Knight Rises. Like, I don't think that's an amazing movie, but he was good in that. And he was good in, man, I'm blanking. Man, Joseph Gordon-Levitt must suck. Sacha Baron Cohen was awesome in this. He actually blew me away in this movie. Normally, Sacha Baron Cohen is very mediocre. So other than his movies like, you know, Borat and Bruno, and his TV show This Is America, you know, which he really figureheads, and it's really about his personality and his characters that he creates in that. But when he's like in other people's stuff, like Talladega Nights and Chicago. No, he's not in Chicago. He's in Les Mis, and when he's in the butcher, no, the barber, the barber, Sweeney Todd. When he's in Sweeney Todd, yeah, he's not that enjoyable. He's kind of annoying. John Carroll Lynch was great in this. He's one of those actors that just pops in, and he's just enjoyable and things. And funny, he played Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah, so one of the presidents that we see in this movie. And he played Lyndon B. Johnson in a movie called Jackie, which is an amazing movie. Like, well, go watch Jackie. But, like, he played Lyndon B. Johnson in that movie, and I was looking at him like, where do I know this guy from? And I'd watched Jackie recently. And I was like, shit. It's Lyndon B. Johnson. That's insane, and it's just so funny. There's this great Michael Keaton cameo in this movie. Like, it's one of those like, this actor, I didn't realize he was in this movie. You know, like, and like they do those editing tricks. You know, when they're like, you know, like they kind of hide him and then he appears, and you're like, whoa, Michael Keaton, because you know Michael Keaton's an amazing actor. He was great in this. You know, his small role was awesome. So yeah, what else do I have to say? The biggest problem with this movie, everything was so good except the fucking score. What the hell, Sorkin? Fire your score guy. Fire your composer. This guy was garbage. Like, everything sounded like stock footage. And right at the end, right at the great conclusion, well, I'm not spoiling it, but right at the great conclusion, there is this fucking terrible, like, stock, music, bloody, happy-go-lucky music, like, oh, everything's got a happy ending, everything's great, and it's like, ugh, it took away from the ending, like, a lot. Like, a lot. And it was really annoying. And I noticed it throughout the film, like, I remember Molly's Game, the score was just passable. I don't, like, nothing was, like, great, like, and I'm not saying, like, the score needs to be the main focus of a movie, because I think the main focus of this movie was the writing and the characters, and the situation that is going on, and the problems that we see, but the score, man, it was distracting. If the score was just okay, it would be fine, but the score was distracting me bad, and it really pissed me off. So I've given this 4.5 stars, that half star from that score, because, like, I loved this movie. I cried halfway through. I'm not a big crier in movies, but this got me, and, yeah, but that score really held this movie back. So you might have seen that I talked, a lot about politics in this, and it's because I love politics. I'm a big politics guy, and I actually have a politics channel I just started, because I don't want to, bog this channel down with my left-wing agenda. But so click the link and check out my politics video. I made a video about the New Zealand election that is going on at the moment, and it's targeted towards like a foreign audience, like a overseas audience to enjoy it, to try to explain like a different election going on. I thought that it's doing alright over there, so I'll try to make more videos over there, meaning that it might cut down on videos on this channel, but, like, don't worry, I'm working on a Best Director of Christopher Nolan at the moment, the second half of that, and, like, I guess I could finish the Adam McKay Best Director, but, people didn't really enjoy that first one, so maybe I'll just skip, talk about The Big Short and Vice, talk about that another time, maybe, later down the track. I was thinking of doing one for Aaron Sorkin, because I love his stuff, and Charlie Kaufman I was thinking about doing as well, because I just recently watched, what's that movie? I'm thinking about Ending Things, which I talked about recently, but I watched Synecdoche in New York a couple times recently, because that movie's amazing. And so, I could talk about his stuff in a future video, so let me know what you like. Check out my politics channel and my New Zealand politics video, and thanks for watching.